everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be my TV and movie wrap up for July and August. I actually watched a bunch of TV shows and movies in the last 2 months. I watched a total of 7 TV shows and 11 movies. I have a lot to talk about, so let's get started. I'm going to start with the TV shows first. So I watched Virgin River season 3. Virgin River follows Mel, who is a nurse who moves to this small town, and she ends up falling in love with the guy who owns the bar. It is a very cute and heartfelt show. I really love it. I loved season 3. I loved the direction that it went in. I'm so happy that Mel and Jack finally have some sort of a normal relationship, and I also loved the whole town and everybody else's storylines. I was heartbroken for Lily's story. Definitely cried a lot in all of those scenes. Like, they were so emotional. This show is just so great and I'm loving it, and hopefully we get a 4th season. I don't think it's been officially renewed yet, so hopefully we get another season because I really don't want the show to end like that. I really want to see what happens next. Then I watched Ted Lasso. So I watched the entire 1st season, and I am also currently watching season 2 as every episode comes out on Friday. This show follows Ted Lasso, who is an American football coach, and he gets the opportunity to coach and manage a UK football team, and he also knows nothing about soccer. He really doesn't know anything about the sport, so he struggles to coach this team and also move to a new country. I'm obsessed with this show. I really love it. I cannot watch a single episode of this show without tearing up a little bit. And it's not like sad tears, it's always like happy and hopeful tears. It's so lovely. It is so wonderful, so heartfelt, and just so good. Like, it is so good. I love the writing. I love the acting. Every single character on the show is so fully developed and has a great storyline, and I love how there's a little bit of romance in this show as well. I'm obsessed with this show. It is so good. It is probably going to be my favorite show of the year. I love Ted. I think he's a fantastic character. He's super interesting. I'm very excited to see all of his layers, really. I feel like we only kind of see the surface, and I'm excited for them to show us more about Ted and like his past and like who he is. There is definitely more to his story, and I'm excited to see that develop. I also love the women in the show. They are just so great, and I love everything about the show. It is fantastic, and I highly recommend watching it. I feel like it might take you the first like 3 episodes to get through it. I loved it off the bat. I knew it was kind of like a little bit of a weird, unique comedy. So I think if you know that going into it, you're gonna love it from the beginning, but it is so good, and if you haven't watched it yet, please go and watch it. Then I watched Yellowstone. I watched the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd season. Yellowstone follows a ranching family who own a bunch of land in Montana, and they deal with this daily struggle of people trying to take their land and their family business. I am really loving this show. I cannot wait for the 4th season. I'm so excited. That comes in November, but I binged the first 3 seasons. It was so good. This show is a little slow in the beginning. I did feel like it took me the first 3 episodes to really get into it, but it is so good. It is so well acted, so well written. One of the writers is Taylor Sheridan, who was actually in Sons of Anarchy. He was in the first couple of seasons. He played a young cop, and I know that he's a pretty well-known writer. Like, he's written a lot of good movies, so I knew I wanted to watch the show just based on his writing. If I were to describe this show to somebody, I would say that this show is like Sons of Anarchy, but with cowboys. It has a lot of similarities to Sons of Anarchy, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all because I love them both. I do feel like Yellowstone is written a little bit better. I love all of the family drama. I love all of the political aspects. I'm usually not huge on like political things in shows, but I feel like it's done very well in here, and it keeps it interesting. Like, I'm interested to know what happens. I'm really loving this show. It is also going to be one of my favorites of the year. The actress who plays Beth in this show is so amazing. She deserves so many more awards. She is just fantastic. My heart broke for her so many times, and the fact that she's still so strong through everything, like, I love her. I think she is such a fantastic character, and the actress is just amazing. I know it does kind of seem a little boring that it's just like about cowboys and like a family ranch, but it's so good and there's so many layers to it, and there's a lot of mystery and drama that happens, and I'm really loving the show. It is fantastic. Then I watched Driven season 2. This is a Passionflix adaptation. I actually did a whole video on season 2 and me rereading the second book in the series, so I will link that video down below if you want to know more of my thoughts. Like I said, this is season 2, so the first season really just follows Riley and Colton, who meet at a charity event, and they both kind of have some trauma and some past issues, and they try to overcome all of those issues and deal with them and try to make some sort of relationship work between the two of them. I enjoyed season 2. I didn't love it as much as season 1. I also didn't love the book, so that maybe is the reason why I didn't like season 2 that much. They did recast Colton, and I did like the new actor. I thought he did a great job. I do think overall season 2 was good, and like the acting was decent, the directing and cinematography was good. I just didn't fully love the direction the story went in. And that also, again, like I said, could be because of the book. But overall, it was a good season, and I am excited to see how they do season 3. Then I watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 8. I think there's only 2 episodes left. The last couple episodes are this Thursday, which is so sad. I can't believe this show is almost over. I have watched this show since season 2, and I can't believe, like, this is it. I'm loving this last season. I do feel like the first 2 episodes were a little rough, just because I feel like they tried to squish in so much information and so many things that were happening in the real world. I do think they dealt with everything very well, but the first few episodes felt a little rough, and I do feel like they're kind of just rushing it. I'm kind of sad that they're literally airing 2 episodes every week. Like, it makes me feel sad that it's almost over. I do feel like they're just trying to push it out and like rush everything. I am sad that they shot this season in the pandemic, because that means like a lot of the actors that I hoped would have came back probably weren't able to. I know there's 2 episodes left, but I don't really feel like we're gonna see Gina. We haven't seen Hitchcock. I'm definitely disappointed, but like I understand. But I also kind of wish they would have waited to film until it was a little bit safer, because then maybe we could have got those guest stars. I just feel like season 8 would have been a little different if we weren't in the middle of the pandemic, and it's kind of making me a little wishful and like sad. It is kind of a fast-paced last season, but I'm loving the direction it's going in, and it's also just very sentimental. Like, every episode feels very emotional, and it feels very heartfelt and warm. I love the feeling that this final season is giving me, but I do feel like I wish we could have got a little bit more, or a little bit more of unique storylines, I guess. I just feel like a lot of it is recycled, or like an ode to past episodes and to the whole show in general, which is nice, but I do feel like there's something a little off about season 8. I also feel like the directing and the lighting is a little weird this season as well. I don't know if they hired new people or just whoever was available and felt safe enough to do it. I'm not sure, but I'm still really excited and sad for the last 2 episodes. Then I rewatched season 2 of A Discovery of Witches. It finally came out on digital and DVD, so I bought season 2 and I decided to rewatch it. I haven't watched it again since it first came out, so it was nice to finally rewatch it, watch it kind of at my own pace and really take it in. I feel like the first time I watched it, I like rushed through it because I wanted to see what happened and I wanted to see what they did. Whereas this time I really took it in and really appreciated every little thing. If you're new to my channel and you haven't heard me talk about A Discovery of Witches, it just follows Diana Bishop, who is a witch and a scholar, and she ends up uncovering this lost book in a library, and suddenly all of these creatures, other witches, demons, and vampires want this book, and she is kind of the only one that could bring it up. One person who wants that book is Matthew Claremont, who is a vampire. This show is so magical. It is so romantic. I love the romance in the show, and the acting is phenomenal. I love every single actor on the show. They do such a great job. I just think they did a really good job with this adaptation. I know there are a few things missing that were in the books, but I feel like what they did with the show is really good, and I feel like what they changed made sense, and what they didn't include also makes sense, especially because they only have 3 seasons and they only have like 10 episodes, so they really have to cut things that aren't super necessary. I love everything about this show. It is so good. I'm so excited for the 3rd season, and I loved rewatching this 2nd season. And then the last TV show I watched was Only Murders in the Building. The first 3 episodes were released, so I went ahead and watched those. This show follows 3 people who live in this one building, and they're all obsessed with this crime podcast. And suddenly there is a murder in their building, and they kind of team up to figure out how this guy got murdered, and they decide to kind of do their own podcast. So far there's only 3 episodes, so I feel like it's really hard to judge the show entirely, but I am really enjoying it. I really liked the first 3 episodes. I am very interested to see where this season goes. The acting is great. I don't feel like it is that much of a comedy, because for right now I'm feeling like it's more just a drama, and like there's the occasional joke here and there. I don't feel like it's a full comedy yet. So far I like how the show is done though. I like how we have these 3 different characters who each kind of have a secret. I'm very excited to see where the rest of the season goes, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I feel like it's hard to judge just on the first 3 episodes, but I'm liking it, and I'm definitely going to keep watching. Now on to all of the movies I watched in the last 2 months. So I rewatched all of the Hunger Games movies. So The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1, and Mockingjay Part 2. I can't even actually remember the last time I watched all of them. Like, it's been a really long time since I've rewatched them. I don't even remember watching Mockingjay Part 2. So I don't even know if I've actually seen that one before. I feel like I have, but I also feel like I haven't. I found that Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2 were so incredibly boring. I forget how boring they are. They could have just made it into one movie and cut out so many unnecessary, boring things. When my friends and I were watching the last 2, we were so bored. We were just like, why is this so long? Like, each of them were 2 hours for no reason. Even though the last 2 were super boring, I'm still glad that we rewatched them, because like I said, I can't remember the last time I've seen all of them. Then I rewatched the first 3 Harry Potter movies. I was really in the mood, so I just went ahead and rewatched them. I love the Harry Potter movies. They always make me feel super nostalgic, and they just make me feel really happy. I feel like it just makes me reminisce about my childhood, and like, I don't know, it just makes me feel like I'm a kid again. So I love rewatching the movies all the time. Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite movie. I feel like I rewatch all of the Harry Potter movies around this time, so I was just really in the mood, and I'm very glad that I decided to rewatch them. Then I watched The Suicide Squad. This I liked. I didn't love it. I do feel like it was so long for no reason. I know this isn't a sequel. It's kind of like a redo, I guess. I liked all the new characters. I thought they were all really interesting. Harley Quinn obviously was amazing. I love her. The villain, or like the bad guy, was really ridiculous, but I also feel like it suited the movie, and I do think the directing and the editing of this movie worked with the villain. I feel like if this movie was super serious, the bad guy would have been horrible. Like, it would have not worked with the movie, but because the movie was a little bit more, I wouldn't say lighthearted, but it was just more like self-aware, I guess. Yeah, I loved the directing. I loved the editing, and just like the special effects that they used. I think I read somewhere that it kind of reflects what the comic books are a little bit better, where it's not like a super serious thing. This movie was so gory. Like, I did not expect it to be so like graphic and gross. But again, I feel like that also works with the movie and just like how it was done. I do feel like I liked the other movie more. I just felt like this one was a little slow at times, whereas the other one didn't have any slow moments. The bad guy was a little lame. Like, I don't know, they could have done something better with that, but I understand they were trying to go for more of a fun approach and not such a serious movie. And then the next 2 movies were the sequels to All the Boys I've Loved Before. So I finally watched P.S. I Still Love You and Always and Forever. I've read the books. I love the books. I really enjoyed the first movie. I had heard not so good things about the second movie, P.S. I Still Love You, so I waited to watch it. But the third movie came out earlier this year, I do believe, so I finally decided to watch them. I watched them back to back, and I really enjoyed them. I do prefer the first movie. I really enjoyed all of these movies. I think it is definitely one of my favorite movie trilogies. Like, I think they did a really good job. If it wasn't for Lana Condor, these movies would not be as good. I do think she completely carries the movies. I love Laura Jean, and I think she truly brought her to life in such a natural and authentic way. I also still really like Noah Centineo as Peter Kavinsky. I thought he did a great job. Like, I still really enjoyed him in the movies. And Jordan Fisher was great in the second movie. I really liked him. I thought he did a great job. Both movies were really cute and really sweet. And like I said, I really loved Laura Jean and her whole family, and I loved Peter. I definitely can see myself rewatching these movies over and over again. I just think they're really sweet and they're really fun. And I loved the last movie. I thought they did a really good job with the whole college stuff. I'm glad I finally watched the last two movies, and it definitely makes me want to reread the books. And the last movie I watched in the last 2 months was After. This was obviously a rewatch for me. My friends and I were watching the movie so that we can go see the third one in theaters. I do really like this movie, even though it is not true to Tessa and Hardin's story. I still really enjoyed this movie, and it definitely grew on me. I can rewatch it over and over again without getting sick of it. It's been over a year since I've rewatched it, and I thought I would be more emotionally affected by it, but I think watching it with my friends and them just like talking and not me being alone watching it helped me not feel super emotional about it. I just get really emotional about the movie because I think about the books, and I also just think about how much they kind of ruined Tessa and Hardin's story. Even though the first 2 movies do have elements and somewhat of the essence of their relationship, it still doesn't fully go into their real relationship. And so it just makes me sad that they couldn't really get it right. But it was still fun to rewatch this movie. I still really love it, and I'm very excited to watch the third one in theaters soon. So that is it for this TV and movie wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know some recent TV shows and movies that you've watched. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!